I'm so happy to be back. Oh my gosh. 101
Welcome.
episodes.
Yes.
That's
Welcome
amazing.
back. I don't get to say that too often. Thank you. Yes, so much for being the first ever guest. And then here we are 100 episodes later.
Amazing.
Wow. And a lot has changed in this past year. We're going to get into your dating intentionally story, which I love when you post about this on Instagram, when you talk about it on your podcast, because you present a strategy for dating that I think we can bring so much uncertainty and anxiety into the process. But when you have a plan, a framework, intention, right, it just makes the whole thing a little bit easier.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But first, I want to ask you a little bit about married life.
Yeah. I guess I was not married last time I came on.
No, no.
Yeah, so I got married in September 2024. And so we're still newlyweds. It's been
Mm-hmm.
like 7, 8 months. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. I love being married. I
Yeah.
really do. It is
Yeah.
so good. We decided, we're not going to start our family yet, but we are
Mm-hmm.
very excited to. It's really hard to see, like, okay, what you experience in dating when you're like
Uh-huh.
looking forward to the next thing, it doesn't
Uh-huh.
really end if you're that kind of person, right? I'm
Right.
right now, I'm like, cool, I'm married. Let's talk about starting a family. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, Talia, just live in the moment and like just be present for two
Yes.
seconds. So
Yes.
yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. And I love what you post about. I mean, it's so wonderful to have a creator, a coach like yourself, because I really focus on, I say from the flirt to the first date to now we're in a
Oh,
relationship. So that's really the part of the dating process I focus on because I'm not in a relationship. I've been in one before. I've had long-term relationships. I've been engaged before, but currently I can't really from like my day-to-day experience right now speak to that part of the dating process of, oh, now we're in a relationship. Oop, what does that look like? What happens? And so I love that you're
yeah.
giving a glimpse into your world and offering daters what
Yeah.
happens.
You
Yeah.
know what I try to do with that is like just show that the work doesn't end. It's
Right.
not like happily ever after the second you decide your boyfriend, girlfriend, or get engaged or get married or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're still going to learn a ton about yourself. You're still going to feel uncertainty and anxiety pretty much every step of the way.
Hmm.
So that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. I love when you post about and just talk about your check-ins, right? When you have date nights, right? Day trips together, out of
Yep.
state. It's all really wonderful to see how that transition happens from dating boyfriend, girlfriend to engaged to married, right? But yeah, I love watching.
Thank you.
Okay, Talia, let us get into the origin of the dating intentionally story. So,
Sure.
we're really going to be focusing today on that early dating process, wherever you may be. Maybe you're dating right now, you're taking a break, you're sort of like, how does all of this work? I'm curious. Yes. What does it mean from your perspective to date intentionally?
I love this question. So, dating intentionally in my definition of this
Hmm.
is that you know what you want and you are aligning your actions with that in your dating life.
Okay.
So, what you want could be a long-term relationship. It could be just to explore. It doesn't have to be a long-term relationship.
Hmm.
It could be that maybe you're exploring different parts of your sexuality and then you
Hmm.
you want to start dating a different gender. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter. Whatever it is for you, you are aligning your actions with what you want
Yeah.
consciously.
Okay. And why is that important?
Because okay, it's important because we all want things like in life, but a
Hmm.
lot of times we are get in our own way because it's hard to change our behavior. It's hard to get
Yeah.
ourselves unstuck to that next
Yeah.
lily pad, to the next thing,
Yeah.
because we have to change our behavior. And part of that is like realizing like, oh, if I want to be X, then I need to start acting like that. I need to
Yeah.
start behaving a little bit differently and it
Yeah.
might feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's that's why it's important because we have to get out of our comfort zone to get what we want usually.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about the discomfort piece, dating anxiety throughout the conversation. It's definitely on the list of questions. The flirties, of course, came through. When they saw Talia on my stories, they said, oh, we got questions. But I love how you talk about dating intentionally because I love that you also frame it as a more open, sometimes experimental process where depending on where you're at with just dating experience, life experience, maybe you're exploring bisexuality. Maybe you're just dating for the first time. Maybe you just moved to a new city. You just got a job. You got a lot going on, but you're like, oh, I'm interested. I want to date. But knowing why, at least having a good idea why is so important, because you're going to meet daters all the time that if you don't know why you're dating, they're going to decide for you why you're dating.
Yes,
They're going to
exactly.
they're going to determine for you what your intentions are. So if you're just matching energy, go with the flow. Oh, I don't know what I'm looking for, whatever you want. Well, your intentions are going to be decided by somebody else, and that makes it
Yes.
really confusing.
When you're dating intentionally, you are going to have to say no to a lot of things. And a
Yeah.
lot of us are not good at saying no. We don't have practice with saying no. And
No.
it feels weird and uncomfortable and a little selfish and a little, sometimes it could feel mean, even though it's not mean to say no,
Right.
depending on how you say it. It can feel weird. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you're dating intentionally, it's going to be different than when you're just dating and to see what happens.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Okay. And so in your dating intentionally story, what was your dating
Oh, yeah.
intention?
So when I got out of a long-term relationship, 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
the first part of my journey was really just about the exploration, building my confidence, and
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to, honestly, I wanted to create emotional distance between my
Mm.
breakup and my current self. And
Okay.
that did involve having new connections. At the same time, I was in therapy, working on healing from that
Mm-hmm.
breakup,
Mm-hmm.
and I was upfront with people that I was not looking to get into a relationship, and I knew
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I absolutely knew. So that was like the first I was single for a year, first like 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, "Okay, you know what? I've had like at least 30 first dates at this point, at least maybe more. Maybe it's time to like start taking I felt a shift in myself, an
Okay.
emotional shift. Like, okay,
Okay.
maybe I'm ready to actually explore a real commitment with someone." So the next half of my dating journey was more focused on finding someone who'd be a good fit for me and being
Mm-hmm.
open to more emotional attachment with someone.
Yeah.
I was more ready for that.
Okay. And how were you? I mean, I know the answer, but how are you meeting people?
Yeah, I was meeting people using dating apps and in
Okay.
person.
In person too.
Unfortunately, speed dating events were not available at that time because it was just the end of the pandemic, so they weren't
Yeah.
back yet. And I
Okay.
really wish maybe I should just run one because I really want to experience
Yes.
one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're like, do it.
Please do it. Please do it.
But no, I didn't get to participate, but I would have. I would
Okay. And in your process of going on those first dates, what were some of your, like, did you have a screening process, or what were some of those questions, or maybe a few things on the checklist you were looking for? Because with this question, I feel like a lot of daters, if you're on the apps or even meeting people in person, you want like every box to be checked.
Yeah, no, I was extremely generous with who I met
Okay.
and my swiping. I definitely had a screening process, but it looked a lot different than I think most
Yeah.
people using the apps who are a little more guarded, which
Okay.
there's a reason for that, right? The apps can be
Mm-hmm.
dangerous. They
Mm-hmm.
can be sketchy. I
Mm-hmm.
get it. I was a little more loosey goosey. Okay.
Okay.
For me, my criteria was like, can you carry a normal conversation where you're not
Yeah.
making it sexual and you're not rude to me?
Yeah.
And some people did not pass that test, but a lot of people did. There are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people out there who can have a normal back and forth conversation where you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about books and TV and
Mm-hmm.
music and food.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, okay, if we can do that, then let's just meet for a date. So I got off the apps pretty quickly and I had
Okay.
no problem saying, let's just meet.
Let's just meet. All right. We're going to stay here for just a moment because I think I'm trying to remember the conversation you initially had with Johnny,
Yeah, my
your
husband.
husband. I think it was about
The
books.
books, yeah. I
Yeah.
asked him about what audiobook he was reading, and he told me we talked about books, and then the conversation naturally does shift away from that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be this clever, witty,
Yeah.
outstanding, memorable conversation. It should be kind of boring, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm with you because like it's well, let me ask this question now first, or
Mhm.
before, like, how long are you messaging on the apps before you go on the date?
There were some times I went on dates after like 4 messages. It was just kind
Okay.
of like, "Hey, you seem cool. I'd love to chat with you about whatever on your profile. Do you wanna get a drink?" Like, and I was
Yeah.
like, and I was open to that. Like, again,
Yeah.
I was like, "Sure." I don't see the harm in this. And were
Hmm.
those dates amazing? No. But they were just boring. They just weren't,
Right.
it just wasn't the
Right.
conversation, whatever. But generally I would say anywhere between like 10 to 20 messages total
Yeah.
between the two of us.
Yeah.
Which
I
could
like
be
that.
like a day to 3 days depending on how fast we're responding, right? But never
Yeah.
longer than like a week of talking. Ugh,
Yeah.
like it should just be up to 3 days of talking
Yeah, I'm with
max.
you. Like, definitely no more than a week, because what happens is like a few things could happen. You get stuck on the apps, you get stuck in the conversation. It never really progresses or goes anywhere. Or now you're like, oh, you're following each other on Instagram or Snapchat. And like, well,
No, don't do
you're
that.
no, like you're not dating because you want to text someone, right? You're dating because you want to go on a date and maybe find a
Yeah.
partner. So we got to get there.
It's scary though. Look, I think people hang out on the apps, they kind of stay in limbo because they are scared to actually go on a date.
Yeah,
And that can be men and women, it's everyone. I think we're all a little nervous. And that's why it
definitely.
feels safer to just stay stuck in messaging. And a lot of people end up having their whole first date conversation on the apps, and we
Yeah.
need to not do that.
I agree, because that's something I used to do, and it builds that
Oh, really?
intimacy. It builds that connection. Like you feel like, oh, I just want to know so much about this person, especially if they're like you find them really attractive and the conversation's good and you're getting those notifications are going off, and
Yeah.
it feels new,
Yeah.
and it can
Well, that's the thing.
feel
But that's the thing.
yeah.
That burns off really quickly, which is why it's
Yes.
so important to get to the date in that new feeling. And
Yes.
look, when I say quickly, I mean that burns off within like 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Get to the date, carry that new feeling, and then build on it on the
Yes.
date. All right. So getting to the date, who's asking who?
I wish this wasn't even a question,
I know,
Benjamin.
I know.
I It does not matter when look, as someone who is married, when you're walking down the aisle, you're not going to remember who asked you on the first date. It doesn't matter. I swear to God.
Yes.
No, but for real, I think if you are talking to someone and you're like, cool, I've seen enough, I'm ready to take this to a date plan,
Yeah.
you can say, hey, I would love to meet. And if you're a lady and you want the guy to step in and do it, just say, I want to meet, and let him figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to plan the whole date. You could just say what your intention is. I
Yeah.
want to meet you. Great. See what happens.
Yeah. And so you're swiping and going on dates with multiple people at the same, like all at the same time.
Yep. Oh
Okay.
yeah. I mean, my max was 3 people. I figured I
Okay.
had like a formula. Okay. Do you want
Okay.
to hear this formula?
Yes.
This is going to sound really complicated.
Yes.
Okay. So figured out through trial and error that I could only really date 3 people at once. And when I say date, I do not mean I'm exclusive with them or anything. We're not sleeping together necessarily. It's just like 1 to 2 dates. So that's really where I'm living right now.
Okay.
So 3 was my number, and basically if let's just say we went on a date and it didn't work out, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously I think it would work out, but like if you were straight, like it would. But like, if it didn't work out, then I'd be like, cool, anti-ghost text. Then I'd go
Mm-hmm.
back to the apps and I'd fill
Mm-hmm.
in basically my third spot, right?
Okay.
Because I have an empty spot now. That
Absolutely.
was my
Okay.
formula. That was my rotation. So I wouldn't, if I was talking to 3 people and I was going on dates with them, I would not use the apps until I had rejected or been rejected by someone.
Okay.
And that spot was open. That was my
Okay.
formula.
Okay. I mean, I love a formula here on Flirtations. I feel like math comes up oddly a lot on the show. I was recording
What do you think of that approach though? Do you think, like, as a dating coach, what do you think of that? Be honest.
I think it's good, because ultimately what I hear, it's about managing energy and expectations and balancing that with anxiety as well. Like, you got to know yourself. And so I think 3 is a very reasonable number, so you're not managing, texts from 4, 5, 6 different guys or girls, right? But 3, and also it gives you this opportunity of, I think, kind of, as we're talking about newness, right? It gives you something, like if you're really dating intentionally and your intention is wanting a relationship, you are actively working towards that goal when you have dates set up, when you're on the
Right.
apps and you're making conversation. Like, you are moving forward, whether that date ends in, it didn't go well, or a ghosting, something like that. You're still directing your energy where you want it to go.
Yeah, and I think it's really, really important to say this. I was not comparing people to each other.
Mm,
That is actually the wrong way to do it.
mm,
I was
okay.
holding people up to my needs. So it
Mm,
wasn't comparing them against each other. It was more like I know exactly what my needs are in a
yeah.
partner and in a
Yeah.
relationship. And I'm comparing each person to that.
Yeah.
Which one of them is going to meet my needs? And at the end of my journey, I was down to two guys, my
Okay.
husband and one other guy. And like what it came down to is I was just way more excited to see Johnny than the
Yeah.
other guy. And I
Yeah.
ended it with him after like the other guy after like 3 or 4 dates.
Oh, so good. And we're going to get into chemistry compatibility in just a
Hmm.
few moments, but I want to stay here on needs
Sure.
because this is a really important part of the dating intentionally conversation. Like I think we've taken the flirties through the journey of in-person apps, matching, talking, now meeting. And so when it comes to not comparing your dates to one another, I think this is so important, more so centering yourself, right? This is something I learned from
Yes.
you. Why are your needs and knowing your needs so important when it comes to dating intentionally?
And this is your compass. I mean, you can date with the
Mm,
intention of getting to a relationship, but if you don't know what you're looking for in a partner and in a relationship, then you're going to end up with someone probably who isn't as compatible as you need them to be.
yeah.
You're going to end up with someone who also just wants to be in a relationship. Like if that's all you're looking for, you can find that, but it
Hmm.
might not be the right fit for you based on
Hmm.
so many factors of like what you want for your life and other
Yeah.
where you said we'll get into compatibility, but when you also what the beauty of knowing your needs is that it's so much easier, it's so much clearer. You're
Yeah.
you're so much more decisive because you're like, "You know what? This is what I need. This person said something that completely goes against that. That's an
Yeah.
easy no."
Yeah.
And you get to cut them loose before you get too far in,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the part of saying no. And sometimes you'll be doing the rejecting. And I mean, for lack of better words, you'll be saying no. You'll be sending that text of,
Yes.
hey, great to meet you, not the connection for me.
Yes, I said no to a lot of people because
Yeah.
I was like, look, and it kind of sounds like dating with an agenda, and maybe it is. And I
Hmm.
obviously was still open to connection,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't like sitting down with my dates and interviewing them based on
Right.
what my needs were.
Right.
But I had it in the back of my head. So in certain conversations, I was able to pick up, a green flag or red flag based on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
and decide who to keep seeing.
Okay. So good. What are some examples of needs, or what were maybe some of your core needs? And
Yes.
yes.
So two that really were pretty easy to figure out on dates. One of them was I need someone who has a desire and the time and resources for novel experiences. And that could include travel.
Oh.
That could include like my husband and I, we just did an omakase. It was really expensive,
Uh-huh.
and we don't always do that, but it was like special
Uh-huh.
and, stuff like that. And so in conversation on my dates, I would be able to explore like what's something new you tried,
Yeah.
where are you going on your next vacation? If their answer is, I don't even have a passport, that's fine. I'm not judging that person, but it's not for
Right.
me. Like,
Right.
that's okay. You don't
Yes.
need you're not a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Just not for me.
Mm.
Another one was ambition. And I
Mm.
was looking for someone who was ambitious in their career
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to have joint goals with their person.
Okay.
So, like, I was definitely looking for someone who, knew their career plans, but also
Mm-hmm.
would have fun, silly, like, things with me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is an example from my ex. We had like a date list and we had to like
Mm-hmm.
check everything off. And
Mm-hmm.
that was super fun to do together,
Mm-hmm.
of like, okay,
Yeah.
we have like the silly, kind of meaningless, like, low stakes
Uh-huh.
goal together in early
Uh-huh.
dating.
Yeah. That's yeah, so good. And for the flirty listening that's unsure of what their needs are, where could they start? Are there areas they can look
Yes.
at in their own lives or maybe with past relationships, friendships, things like that? Yeah.
So I'm going to Plug City. I do have a whole course on this, which
Yeah,
is
you
in
do. Yeah.
my which is on my Instagram. It's in my Instagram bio link, and it's my bestseller. But
Uh-huh.
I think a really there are many ways to do this, but the main gist of it is creating your master list of wants, like everything,
Okay.
even all the superficial things, even like height, things
Yeah.
that don't matter.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have to go through the list and be like, okay, if I found an amazing person, but they didn't have this thing, could I still be
Mm-hmm.
happy? And then you
Mm-hmm.
kind of eliminate things like that and you kind
Mm-hmm.
of separate things that are absolutely non negotiable. Like, no,
Yeah.
if I didn't have this,
Yes.
I could not be happy.
Yeah.
That's a need.
Okay.
And ultimately, you want to get to like 5 things.
All right. Oh, this is so good because I feel like in this dating process, when emotions come into play, things maybe like attraction, there's a lot of physical chemistry. You think they're
Yes.
really hot. You're sharing their pictures with all of your friends, right? We may not be thinking super objectively, but when you have your compass and you know what you're looking for, it just helps you be a little bit more intentional and objective in the dating process. Like one of my needs is sense of humor. You got to make
Hmm.
me laugh. You don't have to be a comedian. You don't have to be doing stand up. But if we can't laugh together, it's never going to work. And that is a need that I overlooked for a long time because it'd be like, oh, well, they're hot. Or, oh, they're really like they text me a lot. Maybe that's present. But am I having fun? Do like we make each other laugh? Then, ugh, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. No.
Uh-uh. Not gonna work. Okay. Let's get on the date now.
Sure.
Dating, yeah, the actual dates in the dating intentionally process. So I got a couple questions here about dating anxiety, specifically
All right.
first date anxiety. So maybe a few strategies for just going into that with a more balanced nervous system, clearer head. Yeah.
So for a first date, if you have anxiety, I mean, there's so many different things you could do. I think what I did was I
Hmm.
had a get ready routine that I really liked. So I would
Hmm.
blast some Doja Cat and Beyonce
Yes.
usually. And to get
Yes.
myself feeling like I'm feeling myself, honestly, any music that helps you feel yourself, that's what you're going to play.
Okay.
And I would have fun putting on my outfit, my makeup, my hair, just feeling myself. Again,
Yeah.
if you're a guy listening, I'm sure there's some equivalent. Like, yeah, Benjamin, what's the equivalent? Like, you're
Oh
like doing your
God.
mustache, your
Oh,
hair.
yeah. I was going to say my gay playlist is also Beyonce and Doja
Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I'm going to put, a little pomade in the mustache. We're going to, kind of wisp it up a little bit, make it more
Yes.
whimsical. But yeah, I love this. You gotta, if you're going into the first date, it's one thing to feel anxious. That's, I feel like, really normal. I still get anxious before a first date. But
Oh, yeah.
it's about getting out of that mindset of like, oh my gosh, I got to be perfect or I have to make the best first impression, right? That's where I want us to shift our mindset a little bit.
Yeah, I think taking the pressure off is huge. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you go into a first date thinking like, "Oh my God, this could be my husband."
Yes. Yes.
You're not gonna have a fun time on that date. But when you're
No.
thinking like, "I'm just gonna see if we can talk for 45 minutes and if they make me laugh."
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot more that's a much easier thing to go into than like, "Oh my God, what if we get
Absolutely.
married?" Like, you
Yeah.
know.
And I've done that. I know a lot of daters have. A lot of the flirties listening have done that. It's like the first date is, are we going to get to a second date?
That's
That's
it.
that's
That's
really
it.
it.
What am I gonna learn about this person?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think having like if you get really nervous, having a couple like one or two go-to questions
Hmm.
that you like to ask everyone
Yep.
is good. I mean, as a podcaster, that's also very helpful.
Yeah.
Just a couple in your back pocket, you know.
Hmm.
I think also just kind of yeah, getting into a mindset where you're not putting on a show. Like you're not
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
to entertain them and they're not there to entertain you.
Yeah.
You can show up as your full self and you should and it takes practice. On a first date that's a tall order, I think.
Yeah.
But being like I'm just going to be who I am literally right now on this Thursday night.
Uh-huh.
It's raining. I
Uh-huh.
had a hard day,
Uh-huh.
but you know what? I'm still going to show up and enjoy myself and like be real.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what you want. Take the pressure off, see how the energy is, how the vibes are. And it's like this comes from another episode of Flirtations where the guest does matchmaking and does a lot of singles events and mixers and all that good stuff. And the line he gave, it's Daniel Cooley, he said, be interested rather than trying to be interesting. And it
Yes.
seems counterintuitive. Like, don't I want to be interesting to the people I'm going on dates with? Of course. I mean, in a sense, but you being interested, asking questions, making eye contact, right? That in and of itself is going to make you interesting.
And hot.
Very hot. Oh
Yeah.
God. Indeed. All right. Okay, a few questions here. Just a classic tried and true, right? If there's no chemistry on the first date, I wasn't feeling the spark, so to speak. What are we doing, Talia?
You are having another date. Damn it.
Yeah.
Give it a few dates. Okay, you give it a few dates if you had fun on the first date, okay, like you can have a good conversation and a fun time even if there's no chemistry, right? We
Mm-hmm.
don't need chemistry to have fun.
Okay.
So if you enjoyed the conversation and if you didn't run into any deal breakers, right? Sometimes you're going to run
Yes.
into, like I had a couple first dates where it ended in a kiss, and if they grabbed my ass on the
Mm.
first kiss, it was an automatic, like, no, you're not getting
Okay.
another date. Like, I just don't like that. It makes me
Mm-hmm.
feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't run into any deal breakers and you enjoyed the conversation, go on the next date. I
Yeah.
didn't feel any kind of chemistry until 6 weeks with my husband. And
Okay.
I guess I mean sexual chemistry or like
Yeah.
physical chemistry. Obviously, we had more of an intellectual chemistry because I think there's
Yeah.
different kinds. So when you say chemistry, did you mean like attraction, like physical attraction?
Really, all of it. I'm glad the question or it's going in this way because I think there's chemistry and oftentimes our mind goes to the physical, but oh my gosh, there's emotional chemistry. There's that intellectual chemistry. Can you make each other laugh? Can you hold a
Mhm.
conversation? Can they be consistent with communication? All of that can absolutely build
Yeah.
chemistry as well.
Yeah, I mean, like for my husband, he was consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He made me laugh.
Yeah.
We had stuff in common. I liked talking to him, but I didn't feel like attracted to him. And
Yeah.
he was very much he's one of those guys who uses humor to like deflect. So I
Okay.
had it was very much a slow burn because I'm like, it's so hard to get to know you.
Yeah.
But I knew that like I was like patient with it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad because I'm still learning about him every day.
Mm-hmm. Me too. He seems like a really cool guy.
He is. He is a really cool guy. Also, I
Yeah.
think that's like the Gemini in me. I'm just endlessly curious, and I just like
Yes.
I like a little bit of a like not a challenge, but just like I don't mind that there's more to know. I don't need to know
Right.
everything.
Right. Oh, that's so good. That helps out not just in dating, but in life too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Mm.
let's figure out the surprises.
Okay. Well, let's play in this space of, yes, early dating for a little bit more, just talking
Yeah,
about, how long to give it, if there's chemistry on the first date versus not. And now getting into some questions about communication.
sure.
Because I feel like we both get tons of texting and communication questions. So what is maybe a healthy balance of communication? What does that look like in this
Yeah, the
process?
way I like to think about it is like you have your inner circle of your friends and family, people
Mm-hmm.
you talk to every day. And the people that you are meeting on the apps or in person or wherever, they're not in your inner circle yet. You don't need to talk to them every day. They need to earn that. They need to show that they are worthy of being in your inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to see daters texting all day and night
Yeah.
with the people that they've
Yeah.
hung out with for 4 hours. Like
Mm-hmm.
you've spent 4 hours with this person,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
they shouldn't be they shouldn't be texting you all day. You shouldn't be texting them all day.
Yeah.
So I think the balance is daily check-ins,
Okay.
fine. How's your day going? Hope you had,
Yeah.
maybe following up on something you already talked about. Oh, did you watch White Lotus? Whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know, um, is fine. And also using texting to plan the next date. If you went on a date with someone, right? We're past the first date at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just going back and forth about your days and weeks, but there's no next date. You've got to, at a certain point, you can be like, hey, I'm interested in meeting again.
Yeah.
End of sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And then see what happens because otherwise you're going to fall into that pen pal trap again. I don't know why
Absolutely.
people do this. I don't know why. We don't have to analyze it. It's just
Yeah.
like if you want a second date, you can push that forward a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like I used to do this. I feel like I used to be the dater that would text a lot. And part of it is, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's easier to text than it actually is to go on dates. It's easier just to
Yeah.
share a song or a meme or a reel, a TikTok, something like that, than it is to actually ask, hey, how are you? How was your day? Right? Did you catch up on White Lotus? Did you make that taco dinner that we were talking about? Right? How was that visit with your mom? It's easier to do these, I feel like, these bids for connection that don't really deepen or evolve the connection beyond just a oop, hey, right, here's a meme or something like that. So I
Right.
feel like I used to do that really out of a fear of losing someone, out of a fear of
Yes.
being rejected, out of a fear of what if they don't like me. And so if I could just kind of always be in their notifications in their phone, oh well, they wouldn't forget about me.
When you're texting just to not be forgotten, you're
Yeah,
not really moving the relationship forward
absolutely
at
not.
all. You've
Mm-mm.
got to just use texting to plan and just, again, daily check-ins fine. And with my husband, we did not text every day when we first started talking.
Yeah.
It was like every 3 days.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like,
Yeah. So I know there's some flirties listening now that are like, oh, that would make me so anxious, right? If I went on a first date with someone and then I didn't hear from them for, oh my God, 24
but like,
hours.
okay, here's the thing. I wasn't crazy about him at first. I
Yeah. Okay.
wasn't hooked when we had our first date. I was like, I'm probably never going to hear from this guy again. I just had this feeling of like, and I didn't care though. I did not
Yeah.
care. That was the
Yeah.
thing. It wasn't like, oh, bummer. Like, no, it was just like, okay, I don't know if I get this vibe. He's new to the city. He's probably dating up a storm. I was
Mm.
wrong. That's just
That's
what
so
I would have
funny.
done.
Yeah.
You know? And I was dating other people too. So I
Uh-huh.
just, we kept in contact.
Yeah.
We saw each other once a week. And I think I made a point because, okay, look, as a person who wasn't sure of like, I don't know if I like him yet, but
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't done anything wrong. There
Mm-hmm.
was no red flags. So I'm like, let
Mm-hmm.
me just keep dating him because there's no red flags.
Mm-hmm.
I made a point to keep showing interest because I knew he was a good guy.
Okay.
And there were no red flags and I liked talking to him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, I need his attention all the
Right.
time. And I think that's a
Right.
huge green flag.
Definitely a green flag. And that was the key for me. I'm so glad you
Mhm.
just mentioned that. I feel like my dating life changed completely when I realized it's not just about the bids for connection and getting to know someone, but being really intentional with how you show interest.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah. Look, I lean avoidant. I'm not anymore, but in
Mhm.
that stage, definitely more so.
Mhm.
But I knew that. So I'm like, okay, I can't tap into my avoidance. I need to show up. Like
Mhm.
so that
Yeah.
was me doing that work of like, this feels uncomfortable and weird
Yeah.
sometimes, or it feels even a little forced on my end, but I
Uh-huh.
know that ultimately what I want, like these actions are going to lead me to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. This is why I loved opening the conversation talking about intentions,
Mhm.
needs. This is
Yeah.
like if you ever feel confused or anxious or just uncertain, like 'cause I know we get all those questions too about like, oh, we have a first date and I didn't hear from them for a day, or oh, we had a first date and now like I haven't heard from him for 24 hours or heard from her for 24 hours. Like, come back to everything we've talked about thus far, your intentions, your needs, right? Your deal breakers. And it's going to be like, when you show interest and really show up as you and be intentional about the dating process, you're not gonna get
Yeah.
this wrong.
And staying grounded in reality because
Yeah.
your anxiety is probably really loud in your head, right?
Yes.
So it's like, can we turn down the volume? You're not getting rid of it. We're not
Yeah.
getting rid of our anxiety. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But can we turn down the volume? If we turn up the volume on the reality of the situation, like,
Yeah.
oh, we had our date on Sunday night. It is
Yeah.
now Tuesday morning. It really hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Gonna ask one
Yeah.
more question here. A classic, like, what if you're with someone, this early part of the dating process, you're getting to know each other and they're like blowing up your phone nonstop? Or the opposite, you feel like you never hear from them, but you want a little bit more.
Okay, so yeah, early dating, few dates in. If they're blowing up your phone nonstop, either way, for the answer is the same for both of these situations.
Okay.
You can speak up
Yeah.
and say what you want and have a conversation about it.
Mhm.
This isn't like the same as me asking my husband to like remember to put the seat down or something. Not that he does that. It's just the first thing that pops my head.
Right.
It's not like this like relationship conversation. Just like, hey, when I'm getting to know someone, I prefer, and then fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Like, I actually like getting to know you and I'm enjoying getting to know you and I want to hear from you more. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Or, you know what, I'm enjoying getting to know you, but the texting is making me feel a little like it's like this a lot of texting.
Mhm.
I want to have these conversations in person.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Say what you want. And then
Yeah.
because with early dating, this is amazing because you have an opportunity to see how they're going to react. A great person,
Yes.
someone worth continuing to date will be like, hey, thanks for telling me, I didn't realize. Or
Yeah.
yeah, like totally, I totally get that, I can adjust.
Yes.
And the person who's gonna blow up at you,
Yep.
like get mad at you or ghost you,
Mhm.
not it.
Mhm. So good. Using like what you didn't say was, right, you're blowing up my phone, you're texting me too much. It's using those, instead you're using those I statements. Come
Yeah,
back to, yeah,
I
exactly.
prefer,
Yeah. So Good. All right. Now we got to get into some emotional availability. I think that was a
Ooh,
perfect
yes.
transition into this part of the conversation. So, how to know in this dating intentionally process if how someone is emotionally available. I think you just alluded to some green
For
flags in
sure.
that answer. Yeah.
Yes, I actually have a whole episode on this that blew up on Spotify a few weeks ago
Yes.
about emotional unavailability more. But yeah, I think you have to kind of work on emotional availability in yourself to be able to notice this.
Okay.
So that's the on I know that's not the thing you want to hear probably,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to work on it yourself because you need to be emotionally available enough to
Mm-hmm.
communicate things.
Yeah.
And that's how you can tell based on how they're receiving that. So if you are not emotionally available enough to even know how you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're not able to communicate that, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
hard to know if they are.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
But let's just say for the sake of the example that you are and you've been working on yourself and you can communicate these things in a calm, clear, direct way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how they respond to that is really important. Also, like if you're telling someone you had a hard day, or if
Mm-hmm.
you're telling someone something hard about your life,
Mm-hmm.
how they react is also going to tell you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some people are emotionally available, but they still can feel a little uncomfortable. And that doesn't mean it's like an automatic, like, oh, you're a red flag if they don't react perfectly. We're not
Right.
looking for perfection,
Right.
but we are looking for openness and maybe curiosity at the
Mm-hmm.
very least.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it's also important because you want to be dating someone that can ask you questions, but also just like when you are having a bad day or a hard time, like whatever's going on, just show you that consideration. Like you want to feel like you're
Yes.
building a true connection with someone that isn't just based on texting or isn't just based on looks or something like that, because at the end of the
I want to
day,
say one thing about that though.
yeah.
Like the person you've been on 3 dates with it's not their job to console you.
Mm,
It's
okay.
not really like they can react in an empathetic way, but they're not going to sit there and be like, "Oh my god, come here," like they're your best friend or something. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not their. So if they don't react that way, that's not a red flag. They just like, it sounds weird, but they don't know you well enough to care that much yet, and that's okay.
Eh, yeah.
Like
I know.
you can be polite, you can be like, "Oh my gosh, like that sounds really hard. Like what
Yeah.
happened? Tell me more." But they might not wrap you into a big hug and like console you, and that's fine.
Yeah, I completely I understand that. It's a couple harsh truths coming through,
Yeah.
but they're going to help you in the dating process. One, it's not someone's responsibility that you barely know have been on 3 dates with to be your emotional regulator, right? The person to tell
Yeah.
you it's all going to be okay, but also how emotional availability starts with you.
Yeah, it really no, it really does. I know. That's what I learned
It's
in doing my episode of like, oh, if you're emotionally available, you are not going to be able to tell if other people are.
yeah, I was so mad when I figured that out.
It's really frustrating
Yeah.
and it's tough. And also it's a spectrum. Let's just also acknowledge that it's not like
Yeah,
black and white, like you are, you aren't. Maybe even working on it and it's hard. Emotions are messy and hard and
they
weird and they're
are.
invisible.
They are.
Like, you know.
Yeah, and you can be emotionally available and still sometimes go
Yeah.
on dates with people that aren't, and you may not find that out until a few dates in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
possible. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, about emotional availability because the different ways it can show up. Because I think someone might be right, they might present as very emotionally available where they're texting or they're really communicative. But then maybe when you get on dates, they're kind of withdrawn or shy, or they don't ask a lot of questions. It's like, can someone be available in one area, but maybe
Well,
not in others?
yes. I mean, look, we don't always have to interpret a lot of texting as emotionally available. That might be more for them than
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Hmm.
Like that might be more to soothe their anxiety
Yeah.
and to feel like whatever they're getting out of it. It's
Hmm.
not really about showing you they're emotionally available. I think it really comes down to, again, their ability to hear no,
Okay.
hear your boundaries,
Yep.
to be open to your preferences and what you need. For
Mm,
example,
mm,
like I think on after our third or fourth date with my husband,
hmm.
he asked me, he's like, you want to hang out? And I was like, no, I actually want a night into myself. And he was
Okay.
like, I totally get that. And he didn't take it as like this big rejection. He asked me out again,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that to me was a sign of emotional availability
I
because
love it.
he didn't, he was receiving my no in the proper way. And
Mm.
I wasn't like, no, I never want to see you again.
Right, right.
I just said, I want a night into myself. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'm really tired. And he was like, I feel that. I get, do you? And like,
Yeah.
that was the sign. So I think practicing using your boundaries, saying no, especially ladies, like for sex is a big one. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you are not ready and you want to
Mm-hmm.
take things slow, how
Mm-hmm.
a guy reacts to that is everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are some ways to show up. I think really you're going to see it when you have to communicate. It's not going to
Yeah.
be, it's always going to be in response into something you're doing. It's not just going to show up.
Okay. Mm. All right. I love that. And perfect segue into really the final part of the conversation as we start
Yeah.
to, oh my gosh, this has gone by so quickly. Boundaries.
Yeah.
We got to
Let's
talk a
do it.
little bit about how boundaries come into dating intentionally.
Yeah. This is why I love dating. This is why dating is so fun because
Mm-hmm.
even when things don't work out, you are practicing all these skills we're talking about,
Yeah.
which will lead you into an amazing relationship, which will make you a great partner,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when it comes to boundaries, like there are some examples. One could be I don't look at my phone after 9:30.
Okay.
I'm chilling before bed, no screen time, and I don't do
Yeah.
that. So if someone's blowing up your phone after 9:30, you need to uphold that boundary by not answering them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at that, okay, I see they're texting me, they can wait.
Mm-hmm.
That's you enforcing your boundaries.
Yeah.
And if they have a problem with that, then they're probably not a good fit for you.
Right.
So
Right.
that's an example of what we're talking when we say boundaries.
Okay. Mm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's going to be so important, especially if you are dating multiple people at a time, maybe 3, you're on the apps, even meeting people in person. Yes. Being really intentional with your boundaries so that you don't get overwhelmed. And if,
Yeah.
maybe that happens, but also so it allows you to keep focused on your life, right? You got to
Yes.
keep living your life during this process as well. You have your friends,
100%.
your other relationships with family, neighbors, coworkers, your career, your education, your hobbies, your interests, your passions. Like
Mhm.
having all of that at the end of the day is going to make you so much more attractive. Like, oh, I'm looking
Yeah.
for that. I'm looking for someone that has something.
Someone who has boundaries values themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not about
Yes.
keeping people out. Boundaries aren't used to keep people out. It's
Oh,
more used to yourself and where
yes.
your limits are and what you can
Yes.
tolerate.
Yeah.
And, boundaries are not like laws. They
Right.
can, I think there is a little bit of flexibility with them
Mm-hmm.
depending on every situation.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, they're really about you, but also it's like you need to enforce them. And I think a big mistake people
Yes.
think about or make with boundaries is you are not saying your boundaries proactively.
Yeah.
They are
Yes.
reactive. You don't need to set one until someone has even come close to crossing one.
Okay.
Like I don't need to say I don't text after 9:30 if they're not doing that.
Right.
Like,
Right. Okay.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like they are reactive. Like
Okay.
you have them in your head and you know what they are and you
Uh-huh.
know that when someone is going to potentially cross one, you
Yeah.
can then speak up and be like, "You know
Yeah.
what? Actually, I'm not ready to take that step right now.
Mm.
I'm not I actually have I'm going to yoga. I can't do it that night." Like, yeah.
Me, always
Yeah.
going to
Yeah, you
yoga.
always you. Yeah.
But this is so good. And one of the mindset shifts and just lessons learned that really helped me in dating, I mean, recovering people pleaser, very much so. Gay
This is so
Libra,
hard. This is so
like,
hard. Yeah.
I feel like so many of the flirties are people pleasers as well. It's like because you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. You want to see the goodness in people. You really want this to work if you're looking for that long-term committed relationship. And so you feel like you got to say yes, you got to be available. But ultimately, boundaries are a form of self-respect, self-trust, and they're letting someone know this is what I'm okay with, this is what I'm not. And I have so much love and respect for myself. This is how I treat myself. And I'm not
Yes.
going to bend those rules for you. They're not laws. They're not necessarily all set in stone. There can be some
Yeah.
flexibility, some nuance, because life is about nuance, but ultimately it's letting someone know like your boundaries are not to keep people out. It's ultimately to hopefully bring them closer in.
Yes. Yeah, it gives them a better understanding of you. And
Absolutely.
that's why it's really important to communicate them as needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when
Oh,
it's appropriate to, for sure.
all right, Talia, a few listener questions here
Oh yeah, let's
before
do it.
we wrap up. I wanted to ask this one this flirty says, how to date intentionally when you're a 41-year-old woman who still wants kids, but they're feeling the time pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I get this one a lot too,
Yeah.
Benjamin. This is
Yeah.
tough, and
Yeah.
I just want to say my heart goes out to you. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is the time pressure. Even if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, it's like always present. I can
Mm-hmm.
imagine it's even worse at in your early 40s. And I would say, look, this is I don't like to sugarcoat things.
Mm-hmm.
I would say at that point, be open to alternatives. Can
Mm.
you have a kid on your own and
Yeah.
continue to date? By the way, I had a woman on my
I was
podcast who
gonna
at
say
40
yes.
had a kid.
Yeah.
And then she met her husband when her kid was like a year old.
Okay.
Like, and it's like you can have both. It just might not be in the order that you thought.
Right.
Also, is adoption an option?
Yeah.
Is like, are there other ways to enjoy children in your future family
Mm-hmm.
if the timing doesn't work out? So I
Yeah.
think that's really what I would be way more open, because the more you like put pressure on it, the harder dating is going to be, and then
Right.
the less you'll like it and want to do it, and then you're kind of moving away from your goal.
Mm.
So the pressure isn't helping you, but I understand you're not going to get rid of it. But I
Yeah.
think having openness is going to be really helpful in your journey.
Yeah. That's so helpful because I really struggle with answering that question because it's just an experience I can't relate to. And for your podcast, Dating Intentionally, I feel like that was such a good episode. I feel like it was around episode 100
Yeah, it was actually, I think
ish.
it was 100. I think that
Okay.
was my 100th episode, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was really good. It was a story and just I had never heard before of someone like a dater, a woman who had expectations. And I mean, you wanna have a family, you want to be a mom. I can certainly
Yeah.
empathize with that. But then what if it doesn't look like exactly how I thought it would? Can I
Yeah.
still make this happen? And she did.
And also another thing is like, what if it doesn't, right? What
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
nothing you want happens? And
Yeah.
that's why I have a whole thing like on my show about this, but it's like, what does your life look like when you don't get what you want? And what's the best
Hmm.
version of that life?
Yeah.
And it makes you feel a lot more secure
Yeah.
when you have that
Mm.
version mapped out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This flirty is asking about deal breakers. And we've talked a little bit about them throughout, but I wanted to come back. And so for someone that is dating intentionally and maybe they're new to dating or getting back into dating after a long time, what are a few deal breakers or non-negotiables they should look for?
I mean, if assuming you're looking for a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I would say anyone who says they don't know what they want, or they don't want a relationship, or
Okay.
if they're like 2 weeks out of a relationship, maybe
Yeah.
not your person.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that's an automatic deal breaker. And I think if you're new to dating, this is, this is very common. Maybe this applies to this listener. You're like, I don't know what's normal, but if it makes you
Mm.
feel uncomfortable, that's a
Mm-hmm.
deal breaker.
Okay.
If it's making you feel uncomfortable or weird, believe that gut feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really, really helpful. I like, your in your dating toolbox, your intuition it has to be there right alongside your needs, your boundaries, your intentions,
Yeah.
all of that good stuff. One more question here I thought was really interesting, and that is how to determine the difference between emotional availability and love bombing.
I love this question.
Mm.
So, love bombing isn't always malicious. It is always manipulative. Some
Mm-hmm.
people just do it because they get super excited about
Mm-hmm.
getting to know a catch like you, and they just can't wait for
Yeah.
all the things. So, love bombing is like when someone is treating you in a way as if they've known you a lot longer than they've actually known you.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation of it. Like,
Okay.
if they're saying, like, there's nothing wrong with someone saying I love you when you're 4 or 5 months into the relationship, but if they're saying it after 2 weeks, it's like, okay, that's too early. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's love
Mm-hmm.
bombing. If
Yeah.
they're saying I can't wait for you to meet my parents and you've been on one date, love bombing.
Yeah.
But if they say I'm really excited to have you come bouldering with me and my friends after 1 or 2 dates, that's not love bombing. That's totally fine. That's
Yeah.
casual. Like, they're saying, oh, I'm excited. I have 2 concert tickets for next month, and maybe we could go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a little far out for for 2 dates, but that's not love bombing. That's not.
Okay.
That's just someone being excited to potentially take you to a concert. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's
Yeah.
not like, oh my God, we're getting married.
Exactly.
So does that make sense?
Absolutely.
If they're saying like, I've never met anyone like you, and they've only spent 6 hours with you, it's like, you've barely met me,
can't.
bro. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That is definitely giving love bombing. Yeah.
Emotional
Mm.
availability is going to be a little bit more like, it's going to feel more appropriate based on how
Yeah.
long you've known each other.
Yes.
Like, I'm excited to come for you to cook for you at my home on our 5th date.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Great.
Very fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Talia, I thought I'd plug our first ever episode very quickly. The first
Yes.
episode of Flirtations, all about the slow burn, where we echo some themes in the conversation today, but I think really focus more on the pacing of
Yes.
dating, whereas today was a little bit of a rapid fire
Yeah.
how to
Today was like
date
an overview of
intentionally.
the whole process of like from
Yes.
meeting to couple dates. I love that.
Absolutely. That was the storyline. That was the arc for the conversation today. My only other question, before I send all the flirties your way, if they're not all already following and listening, is any other thoughts or anything that didn't come up in conversation you want to share?
Yes, I think I just want to encourage all the flirties listening to be a little more open, have a little more grace for people. Everyone's
Hmm.
trying their best, even when people treat you shitty. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
like everyone's going through stuff, everyone has baggage. Like, don't take things so personally.
Yeah.
Let things roll off your back and like protect your peace in a
Yeah.
way. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I want to see more of in early dating um with people. It's like it's not all so
Yeah.
life or death. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know what you mean. Exactly. And I love ending there. And we didn't talk too much about the rejection piece of this, like if you're dating someone, let's say for 2 or 3 months, and then like, oh, it turns out I'm not feeling the connection kind of thing. Like ultimately, yeah, it's going to sting if you receive news like that or if you have to deliver something like that. But coming back to this whole toolbox we've been building with your needs, your boundaries, your intentions, all of that good stuff, as long as you aligned your actions and your words with all of that and dated
Yeah.
intentionally, sometimes it's not forever.
I mean, nothing's forever, Benjamin.
That's
That's the sad truth. I'm sorry to end on that note, but like
well, you're
nothing
not
is. So it's
wrong.
like,
Hmm.
that and your relationship with yourself is really the only forever thing, I think.
That's true.
So, but that being said, yeah, every experience, see it more, find the lessons and it will feel
Yeah.
less painful. That's really what I think. It's like when you find those lessons, everything that you have, even if
Yeah.
it's a 2-monther that ends, like what it can teach you is what you'll bring to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and it
Yeah.
keeps getting better.
And that it's not, sometimes it feels so personal, especially if it ended with someone
Yeah.
saying something very personal, but
It's not really about you.
no, it's not a reflection of your own, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like partner
Yeah.
self, like, yeah,
Right.
it doesn't mean you're not gonna be a very
Yes.
great connection for somebody.
Yes. And listen, if anyone has any questions for me specifically about my journey,
Yeah.
you're welcome to reach out to me on Instagram at
Yes.
dating.intentionally. I answer my DMs. I love hearing from you. And I love this. I
Fantastic.
love your podcast. I'm so glad that you have me back.
Thank you. All right. They are going to come over to Dating Done Intentionally. Also, your YouTube and your podcast is the same.
Yep. Dating intentionally.
Fantastic. I will have all the links in the show notes below. Flirties, if you're not already following and listening, what are you doing? Go do
Thank
it.
you, Benjamin.
Talia, thank you so much for coming back on the show.